Wait, what about weird?
Hi, I'm Elena.
And I'm Echo.
And this is our podcast, What About Weird? A podcast dissecting all things weird from cryptids and aliens to strange science and unhinged history. So today, I want to ask you, do you like Pokemon?
I want to say yes, but I don't have enough experience with it. I saw a couple episodes of the show when I was younger, and I remember really liking, what is it, the Rocket Twins?
Team Rocket.
Yes.
I love Team Rocket. They're great.
Yeah. They were like my favorite part of the show, but I only ever watched a couple episodes. I never played with Pokemon cards, but I did get really into Pokemon Go when I was in 8th grade to like sophomore in high school because it was really popular. And where I went to school, there was like a shit ton of Pokestops nearby. So I would like spend before school, during lunch, and after school just like going, like walking around and getting all the Pokemon.
I love that. I never got into Pokemon Go, but I did. I played Pokemon Leaf Green. I had a Game Boy Advanced SD Color. It was wonderful. I loved it.
I guess to be fair, I did play Pokemon Gold on my Nintendo 3DS, but I didn't get very far through it.
I'm jealous of you. You had a 3DS. I had a DSi, which was nice. I had a Game Boy and a DSi. I sold my Game Boy when I was trying to move out of my parents' house just for a bit of extra money, and now I'm mad that I sold it because I've been wanting to play Pokemon Leaf Green, and the game itself is cheap, but it's a few $100s to get a working Game Boy, and I'm so mad.
Lame. That's what's good about the Nintendo stuff is a lot of those like older Nintendo games they've carried through to be able to play on stuff like the Nintendo Switch.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah, which is really cool because I'm pretty sure like all of the games that I loved to play on Nintendo DS when I was younger, like the Pokemon games, I played some Castlevania games.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure you can get most of those on the 3DS.
That's good to know because I know I had some friends that had DS Lites, and DS Lites are like they'll run Game Boy, the Game Boy Advanced games. I don't think they run the original Game Boy games. So I might get a DS Lite, I don't know, just to play some of those old things, but that's good to know. I was Pokemon Leaf Green and Black and White were my games.
Amazing.
But what we're talking about today doesn't have anything to, it does have to do with Pokemon, but it doesn't have to do with the games that we played. It has to do with the very first Pokemon game.
Like the card game?
No, the first video game.
Pokemon... okay.
So the first Pokemon games were Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue for the original Game Boy. And this was, after it came with the show, it came with the card game, you had all that stuff. But they started doing these portable video games. But people quickly noticed while playing it that there was one place that had really creepy, eerie music. And that spot in the game is called Lavender Town. And an urban legend was sparked about it. But I did not know until researching this that this urban legend did not start when the game came out. It started when I was playing Pokemon around 2010. So
Lavender Town was a real place in the early
Pokemon games.
But they didn't start like the weird lore around it until like much after?
Yes, which is interesting. And we're going to get into that a bit.
Okay.
And I have some theories about it. And so today, for anyone who doesn't know, we're talking about Lavender Town Syndrome. This is not to be confused with an incident that happened in December of 1997, where a broadcast of the Pokemon anime, the TV show, they had an episode that triggered an estimated 685 cases of photosensitive epileptic seizures in Japan. This is often called the Porygon incident, and that episode has been pulled. So a lot of times you'll look up Lavender Syndrome and the Porygon incident will come up. The Porygon incident, there is actual proof that happened. That's not what we're talking about today, but they're going to be very connected if you go and look it up. And a lot of people will lump them together.
Interesting. Okay. So a lot of like movies and TV shows that have like stuff that might be seizure inducing have to like, I know, disclaim it beforehand now, right? Because I know when you play like the Assassin's Creed games, they're like, hey, by the way, don't play these if you have epilepsy.
Yeah, a lot of things. And I don't know if it started with this or if they have those regulations in Japan. I didn't look too much into it because, like I said, that's not what we're talking about today.
Okay.
But people were, they were all nauseous. They were throwing up and like feeling really lousy. And so some of that will in some ways connect to what we're talking about. But I just wanted to, because some people get them confused, myself included, I just want to put that out there that these are two separate incidents. One had to do with the games and is a urban legend. And the other is a real thing that happened with the TV show.
Okay.
I didn't write it down, but okay. So the year before the Porygon incident, these games came out. So maybe that's why some of the urban legends have like connected them. So
yeah, because they're so close in time.
So Lavender Town syndrome can be traced back to one post that was basically a creepypasta post before creepypasta was a thing, and it later got put onto creepypasta.
What was it on, like
pastebin.com?
4chan? Oh, okay. I know a lot of stuff that's like before it's like on creepypasta gets posted on like fucking 3chan or 2chan or whatever.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try to read a little bit of this, of where this story came, like some of the original posts. So what I had found was an internet archive of the original post. Pardon me, I'm very bad at reading, but I'm gonna try and read this as best as I can.
I believe in you.
Thank you. Everybody gets to bully me if I do it wrong.
No,
I'm kidding. Please don't bully me. I'm a sensitive little baby.
Elena's trying her best at all times. Okay.
Okay. So the first little bit of this, for lack of a better term, creepypasta goes, during the first few days of the release of Pokemon Red and Green in Japan, back in February 27th, 1996, a peak of deaths appeared in the age group 10 to 15. The children were... Oh, I should also say, trigger warning, this is going to contain discussions of suicide and self-harm and child violence. So, should have put that up front. Sorry.
Big yikes. Okay.
Yeah. I just went to read the next paragraph and I was like, oh, let's see. So, a peak of deaths appeared in the age group of 10 to 15. The children were unusually found dead through suicide, usually by hanging or jumping from heights. However, some were more odd. A few cases recorded children who had begun sawing off their limbs, others sticking their faces inside the oven, or choking themselves on their own fists, shoving their arms down their throats. A few children who were saved before killing themselves showed sporadic behavior. When asked where they were going to hurt themselves, they only answered in chaotic screams and scratched their eyes out.
Oh my God.
When showed what seemed to be the content of this attitude, the Game Boy, they had no response. But when combined with either Pokemon Red or Green, the screams would continue, and they would do their best to leave the room it was located in. This confirmed the authorities that it was the game somehow had a connection to these children and the deaths. It was a strange case because many children who had the same game did not show this behavior, but only a few. The police had no choice but to pursue this, since they had no other leads. Collecting all the cartridges that these children had purchased, they sealed them away as strong evidence to look over later. They decided the first thing to do was to talk to the programmers themselves. The first person they met was the director of the original games. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name because I'm really bad with Japanese names, so I'm so sorry. I'm going to butcher it and it's going to be bad. When told about the deaths surrounding his game, he seemed slightly uneasy, but admitted nothing. He led them to the main programmers of the games, the people responsible for the actual content. The detectives met one of the main programmers of the games. Unlike the director, he did not seem uneasy, but very kept. explaining that it was impossible to use something like a game to cause such deaths. Also, to bring up a point that not all the children were infected, he brushed it off as some kind of odd coincidence or mass hysteria. It seemed like he was hiding something, but wasn't giving away. Finally, he said something interesting. He had heard rumors going around that the music for Lavender Town, one of the locations in the game, had caused some of the children to go ill. So that is the beginning of the first part. So that's where this originated. This post online in 2010. So when I heard this, I was dead convinced that this was a real thing because I was a child and was like, oh, this is real. This is like legitimately happened. And I was so paranoid. But if I've asked a bunch of people of various age ranges who are into Pokemon, and nobody has heard anything about this from before 2010. Like and it's usually a thing that you hear from people in like our age group. This is something that they heard.
But, okay, so this is interesting. So, but the story that you just read was posted when?
2010.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
so it's like a Slenderman situation.
Yes.
Then, where it's like someone posts this online recently and then somehow there's all this like lore about it now that supposedly stretches back like decades, but really it's just like a fabricated story online from like the 2000s.
That gets us into the music. An interesting thing about this music is it is actually based, the theories behind this music is actually based in some science, nothing conclusive. But do you know what a binaural beat is?
I don't know. I don't think I've heard that term.
So according to PubMed, a binaural beat is an auditory phenomenon that occurs when two tones of different frequencies, which are present separately in each ear, so if you're wearing headphones or something like that, they come together to create a third tone, and oscillates between the two frequencies of the tone. Binaural beats can usually be perceived in frequency range from about 1 to 30 hertz, and they have been known to actually have some like effect on your brain and your body response to things. I read a whole interesting paper. There's a lot of stuff in there about sound physics that I am not smart enough to understand.
Yeah.
But I think you would find some of this interesting since you have a background in psychology. But there was the paper I was reading was discussing the fact that these certain frequencies could be used in 10 to 15, if someone listened to it for 10 to 15 minutes, had been shown to sometimes improve like someone's depression score, which is like if you take a test about how your depression is like on this scale and you just score lower, like you're scoring less depressed. That doesn't mean that you are necessarily less depressed. It was also shown to sometimes help with cognitive function and anxiety, sleep disorders. However, they did find that in some cases it actually made things worse. It was really dependent on the person. So there's actually some really cool science here. And it kind of gets into the whole thing of infrasound a little bit, but
are they testing this on the actual audio from Lavender Town, or are these like
this is a separate
research
study.
articles done? Okay, just on like binaural beats in general.
Just on binaural beats, yes.
Okay,
but there is science behind binaural beats. That's probably why this gained traction, is because they were saying it was the binaural beats. I'm going to drop a link for you in the chat. I'm going to have you listen to this, but they had some. Here, I'm going to send that to you. There should be a video you should find with the original music. So they had been shown that it had a bad effect on some people, the binaural beats. So the theory is that there are binaural beats that have negative effects on people in the Lavender Town music. And since they confiscated all these games, re-released them without those binaural beats so that people could play the game. The conspiracy theory is that this was a thing. What I've sent you is supposedly the original music. So go ahead and give it a listen.
If you go play Lavender Town, it doesn't sound like this with the binaural beats now.
They have the reason it sounds how it sounds now is it's been changed, but you can find a lot of things online that have to do with how it originally sounded. So what I've sent you is supposedly the original music before they recalled it.
Right, because so here's the thing. Did they actually recall it and change it, or are people just saying they did, but there's no real evidence that it actually ever sounded like
There's no real evidence that it was actually recalled.
Okay, so there's layers to this. Okay, hold on, I'm going to listen to this. I kind of want to put just like a 10-second clip of the song in the section where I'm listening to it so the listeners can listen to it. Nope, I hate that. I hate that. That's really bad. I hate it.
Yeah, and because of how it sounded, people just assumed, oh, it's really like eerie and freaks me out anyway. And it had like people have looked into this and they're like, well, when I listen to this, like when I say people have looked into this, I mean amateur sleuths have looked into the Lavender Town music and gone, okay, even after it's edited, my heart rate is raised and it gives me like, you know, the feeling of having a panic attack, it would give them that. So a lot of people are like, okay, well, they've changed it a little bit. So there's something to this because my heart rate has been raised a little bit. So it's just fucking creepy ass music that I didn't want to hear anyway.
My heart rate definitely went up a little bit. I feel like it was causing me anxiety.
Yeah, it is an anxiety-inducing song. And I don't think it has anything to do with binaural beats. But because it was already anxiety-inducing and people are, so this got started because people were like already like, this is creepy. But yeah, so that's the conspiracy is that they had changed it and stuff and that it caused all these headaches. But why did it catch fire? Why did this story get going so hard? Why did people like me who were like, I knew people that were older than me that were convinced that this was a real thing. And why did it catch so much steam? Was it like Lavender Town or like Slender Man? But I've heard, looking into this, I've heard that theories, there is no confirmation of this, that this was actually put out by Nintendo. Supposedly, there's no confirmation that this conspiracy was put out by Nintendo because if you look at the numbers of the sales of the Pokemon games, they had started to dip before 2010. 2010 is when Pokemon Black and White were released, and after this urban legend came out around the same time when they were releasing those Pokemon games, and the sales skyrocketed after that. And so people think that they created this urban legend to draw attention back to Pokemon to get people to buy Pokemon again.
That's an interesting theory, but did sales of the Pokemon game skyrocket because they had just released a new game and that's always what happens when you release a new game?
Compared to old sale, compared to the numbers of sales from previous games.
They largely do think that is due to the fact that this internet conspiracy was so popular.
Yes, but if you look into it, there is Game Freak, the company that makes the Pokemon games, has never made any official statement on this. Nintendo's never made any official statement on this. So it's just internet people coming up with, this is probably why they did it. And then there's some people that are saying that, well, this urban legend was a thing that went around in schools and then people started sharing it and then one person posted it and it just took off. And some people it's an actual thing and then someone posted it. So there's all these conspiracies around if it was real or not, but there is no confirmation of these deaths that they're saying were caused.
Okay, so let's say that this event did happen and it was like the game maker's intention to cause harm somehow or like psychological distress. What would be the reason for that?
That's what I've been trying to figure out is was it something that maybe it was accidental? They were trying to make super creepy music because Lavender Town is I don't remember if it shows it in the video, but it's like a ghost town with like a graveyard. It's supposed to be like super spooky, and there's like you can encounter ghosts and stuff in it. So was it an accidental thing, and then they realized what they did and they pulled it? Or was it a purposeful thing? Some people think it was purposeful because one of the programmers was super malicious, was like just had it out to harm people, like that whole thing of because this came out around like sort of the mid-peak range of the whole thing of like strangers are putting drugs and razor blades in your kids' Halloween candy to kill them.
Which turned out not to really be true. That turned out to be a myth because a lot of the time, if there were drugs or like razors or something crazy,
it was the parent trying to kill their own
candy,
kid for insurance.
Exactly. It was somebody that child knew, and it was like an orchestrated plan. And I feel like the spreading of it makes it like worse in a way because then people get like ideas to do it. You know, I don't, because maybe it's. Because then I read, like, some article about, like, some lady, I think, that had, like, a mental disorder that was, like, passing out just, like, razors and, like, kitchen sponges and, like, all sorts of crazy shit or something. Because I don't think she knew what she was passing out.
I know we were trying to keep our episodes shorter, so there's not a whole lot. I have a lot of... But even outside of, like, it was mostly, like, really violent, terrible stuff that was happening. But then you'd find some people regurgitating... So the original one is like these kids are sawing off their arms, they're committing suicide, all this stuff. But if you read some other times of people building on this, again, creepypasta for lack of better term, or this like urban legend, it was like, oh, well, they were saying this, but that's just over dramatized. They were just getting really bad headaches and were getting sick and nauseous. And that's when they started pulling in the thing about the Porygon incident, where they're like, well, remember when all those kids got sick? Like the year after the game came out, when they're watching the show. So like, what was Pokemon doing? And they were getting, you know, these kids were getting sick. They were having seizures. And so it morphed into like, oh yeah, everyone was saying they were dying with Lavender Town syndrome, but actually that's over dramatized. It really was people getting headaches and stuff. But again, there's no proof to that. So it's kind of interesting. Is the real story that this happened and that, you know, they covered it up, which I don't think so. Or is the real story that, you know, oh, it's just a Slender Man thing? Or is it Nintendo started this conspiracy to sell Pokemon games?
That's crazy.
And then, you know, you get into all the interesting stuff with binaural beats and stuff. I'll try and send you the article. But it's all that stuff about binaural beats is interesting. And it's interesting that that is based in actual science to some degree. Again, there's nothing like confirmed. It was one of those, you know, well, we did this study on X amount of people, but only, you know, 1/3 had super positive effects and 1/3 reported no effects, 1/3 reported negative effects. You know, it's very sort of up in the air, but there's like heart rate things, there's scores on these things, nothing conclusive, but it is interesting that there's that little grain of truth in it. And I do think it's interesting that so many people either had never heard about it, or if they had heard about it, thought it was entirely real. Like, I thought it was an entirely real thing for a long, long time, and I forgot about it, got reminded of it, and I was like, there's no way that's real. But I just wanted to talk about it on this show because I thought it was an interesting little conspiracy and a thing about how, like, things can become a conspiracy. So do you have any other, like, thoughts or questions or...
This one is really interesting to me because haven't there been stories like this or that turned into conspiracy theories about other video games that did a similar thing?
Oh,
like,
I'm sure. I know. Polybius?
Yeah, that one is. Polybius.
Yeah,
isn't that one?
That's a very similar thing as well, yeah. And this, I think, Lavender Town syndrome is like our generation's Polybius. Because it's like lost to time. There's some basis in actual stuff. But then it's like, yeah, it's convenient that nobody remembers this. I was wanting to try and find like an Internet Archive, like playable version of part of Lavender Town or like a video of it. I didn't get around to it, but it does. I will say, it does make me want to go back and play Pokemon. Like, if that's the purpose, it is working.
The main reason why this one is so much more interesting to me than Polybius is because this is based off of a real part in a real game that
And
you
there's real
can go
science.
back and play.
Yeah.
Whereas Polybius is just like, they're like, this arcade game once existed that if you played it, it would cause like, you know, physical and psychological damage to you or whatever. I don't remember the exact symptoms.
I'm glad you brought up Polybius, because I have thought, like when I first heard about Polybius, wondering if the person that started the Lavender Town thing had heard the Polybius thing and was like, okay, I want to make this for my generation.
Yeah, and use an actual game. And I think that's what made it so clever, is that it's based off of an actual game they can go out and play, versus Polybius, the arcade game, doesn't actually exist. Like, they haven't been able to find it.
And also, it's interesting because the time period of when this was supposed to have happened, it's that time period of, like, you know, all good urban legends are like, my cousins, like my older cousin had a friend who knew a guy in Japan that this affected, or like he remembers when this was in the headlines. It has just enough like closeness to when it was started to be like, oh, maybe there's something to this, but far enough away that the technology has gotten enough outdated that it's not common. And it's not like, so, you know, I was playing a Game Boy, but I was playing a Game Boy Advanced, which has a different form of cartridge. I was playing a DSi, which is what Pokemon Black and White came out on. And I didn't have like a lot of people had already gotten, at this point, you were a few portable game console generations beyond this. So people couldn't just try and find something, like try and buy a copy of it, because you'd have to buy a copy of it and buy the device because it was outdated. So it's like, it makes it, you know, it was a real thing, but it's just far enough outdated that you got to put in a fair bit of effort to try and prove something like this, or to even get further in to be like, is there something about this? And you just kind of hear it and are like, wow, that's crazy. It'd be interesting if I could play this, but that's not the console that I have to play. I don't have, like, it's outdated. The person that probably has it is like your older neighbor down the road, or your older cousin may have a copy of the American version, but it happened in Japan. It's not the American one. So you can't prove that it's real, but you can play it and see if there's something to it. Like, it's the people it gained traction with weren't the people that played that game, which I think is really interesting. Of like, there's that seed of truth, but it's separated enough to not be able to immediately go, that's bullshit. But I will also, something I did forget to say is there are theories that, can I find it? But there were theories that also in the music itself was haunted, and there were videos posted on YouTube where, you know how you'd see like how the music is laid out? If you pulled the music, the like sound bites up, there's a ghost and some weird writing in it that people think that maybe it wasn't the binaural beats, but the music itself was haunted.
Whoa, I like that theory. I know that's definitely probably not true, but that's really cool.
I have sent you a picture. I texted you a picture of it. So people thought like it was the music that was haunted because when you pulled it up, this happened. But it's, if you do that, it's only like a couple of videos on YouTube that have like made this become a thing. And
because there's no way it actually looks like that.
Yeah, it doesn't actually look like that. But it's like,
that's
if you
definitely just edited in there.
Yeah. But people like, if you edit it in this special put it into this special specific software and run it through this filter, then you can see that there's a ghost in it that's like moving around and doing stuff. And it's like, and that's why people like, yeah, it's obviously in the music, they knew what they're doing, or it's haunted by the ghost in the Pokemon game, because in Lavender Town, there is a ghost. When you walk into Lavender Town, there's one girl that's like, there's someone that's, a character that'll be like, do you believe in ghosts? And your character will be like, nah, I don't believe in ghosts. And then we'll tell you that she's like, well, there's a white hand on your shoulder, and you turn around and there's a ghost in the game. It's like a spooky, scary jump scare. And that ghost is what I had sent you in the music. That's supposedly in the music. Oh, I hear the little man.
Yeah, sorry. He starts around 4 p.m. getting a little fucking like, I want dinner, I want dinner, I want dinner, but I don't feed him until 5. So he's got another fucking hour.
Dogs are always like that. They're just like, yep, and it's dinner time. It's like, dude, it is 4. I feed you at 6. What are you doing? But yeah. So what do you think of this? Do you think what theory do you think is the true one?
I think the most true one is that it's just a Slender Man or like Polybius type of thing where it's just like a story that turned into a conspiracy theory, which is really cool. I love internet legends like this.
Oh,
I
yeah, me
absolutely
too.
love them. But I love them from like an entertainment standpoint. Like, this is really interesting. This is a cool thought experiment. I don't love how they develop into like actual conspiracy theories a lot of the time and then lead to, I don't know,
someone killing somebody else in the woods.
Yeah. Not great, because that happened with the Slenderman thing. So
yeah.
I do legitimately think, that it's just a story, but I like the idea of it being posted by Nintendo to raise their profits.
I think it's fun. If that's just like a story and you're not trying to be conspiratorial about it, it is fun. And people also thought a similar thing with the Pokemon staged the Porygon incident so that they would like increase sales for their first game. Which
yes, because I'm sure that the Pokemon Corporation, a year after their game was released, wanted to like kill some random people through seizures. Because that's totally
let's kill
plausible.
our demographic off.
Yeah, that one's dumb. That's definitely not it.
Yeah, but so
that's crazy though.
Is all I have for Lavender Town Syndrome. Creepy ass music and a cool game.
If we do stick the music in there, nobody freak out, okay? Nobody freak out. I listened to it and I was fine.
Well, you have to, according to those studies, you have to listen to 5 to 15 minutes of the music, which...
Oh, that's true. I mean, I will not be doing that.
I would probably get really anxious and have panic attacks if I was playing that game with headphones on, and you're in that one area for a while. That would cause you
I would have to mute it.
Yeah, I mean, I almost never played Pokemon games, like any of my portable games with headphones in.
Oh,
or volume on. Yeah. Maybe you should play Pokemon. It's fun. I liked it. I have not played anything past Black or White, though, so I guess trying to raise attention for the Pokemon games didn't work on me. I was going to buy the game anyway, and then I didn't buy any more.
God, there's so many Pokemon games. I just looked up how many Pokemon games there are now, and like, oh my god.
Yeah, okay. They just keep going on with them. But yeah, if you are someone who is older than us and you played Pokemon Red or Green, let us know if you ever heard about Lavender Town Syndrome before 2010. I'd be so curious to know.
For real. This is so interesting. I can't believe I've never heard of this. This is amazing.
I know. It's interesting who has and hasn't heard of it. Like, I'm not even on the internet, and I didn't know about Slenderman was around the same time, and I didn't know about any of that until, like, probably mid-high school, because I lived under a rock.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting that I heard about this while it was a thing, maybe because I was in the Pokemon realm already, Because
I heard some of the Slenderman stuff when it first came out, but
I think I'd seen that one picture that started it when it first came out, and that was about it.
And there were like Minecraft mods that like had Slenderman in them and like crazy stuff like that.
Oh my god, do you remember Herobrine with the Herobrine conspiracies with Minecraft?
No, you talk about that?
Okay, so from what I had heard, I'd have to look into it, but supposedly the creator of Minecraft, I'd heard a lot of different theories for how this guy became a thing. Some people said he was a hacker, some people said it was the ghost of the creator's dead brother that was haunting the game, and it was like this character that would come through that wasn't meant to be part of the game, that would come in and kill you, who looked like your character, but with red eyes, and would like kill your character or would like haunt your character, freak out your character, and like bad stuff would then start happening to your computer if you encountered him. And you have to do like certain things to protect from him. But I'd never encountered him, but I'd heard people like, yeah, I'd seen him, I'd heard him, but nobody could ever prove it. And it was like a similar thing, but it was like, he'd freak you out, and this character would freak you out in the game, and then would like cause issues with your computer. And he was called Herobrine. So that's, I don't know, that's an interesting.
Wow. Internet theories are so crazy.
I know, right? Especially ones that are like have a little something based off of them that's like semi-true, you know?
Yeah, that makes them. I mean, I think it's cool. It makes it more believable, but also unfortunate that it makes it more believable.
Yeah, because it's, you know, if you're not careful, you can get into a situation of like McDonald's is giving their money to the Church of Satan situation, you know?
Yeah.
Or just to further the video games cause violence conspiracies.
Do we have any housekeeping related stuff?
Okay, couple of things. One, we have stickers. We have stickers that are out now. Buy stickers from us.
Do we want to talk any about the cryptid calendar? Because we won't be quite promoting. Pre-sales won't be open for a month when this comes out.
But we can still start drumming up attention.
The idea, yeah.
Yeah, so us and some friends of ours and artists that we know are all working together to create a cryptid-themed pinup calendar that we're going to sell. All of the money that doesn't go to the shipping process or to the actual printing of the calendar is going to be donated to the Repo Defense Fund. So in October, we're going to try and start pre-sales. We're working with 11 wonderful, great, fantastic artists. I'm doing a piece. Echo's doing a piece. Friend of the pod, Ari, who was on a while ago, is doing a piece. Dan from Greg's Cryptid Corner. I'm so sorry, Dan. Don't be mad at me. I can't speak. Amy's Birdhouse on Instagram is helping us. Bunch of, just to name a couple of people that you may know through listening to ours, as well as some other artists who are friends of ours, local artists, friends of theirs. So it's going to be great. Each person is doing a different cryptid for a different month. And then all the money is going to go to this organization that Echo is going to talk about.
Yes. So the Repro Defense Fund is a legal fund for women and AFAB people under investigation for exercising their reproductive rights. So this organization helps with costs of bail, court fees, transportation, medical costs, etc. after a person is persecuted for exercising their rights to reproductive health care.
It's, you know, a lot of people think of that as like, oh, it's just getting an abortion. I accidentally got pregnant. But it's also getting an abortion if you medically need one because your body cannot sustain carrying a baby. It's if you can't afford one, if you need to get a hysterectomy due to health reasons. It's trying to get birth control in states that are trying to ban birth control. They could help with, say, preventing ovarian cysts. So it's more than just getting, you know, even if you're someone who's like, I don't know about all this abortion stuff. It's also medically necessary for people. And also, it is a human right. It is healthcare. Access to reproductive healthcare is access to medical healthcare.
Yes, because, I mean, when we restrict access to this stuff, it doesn't make it any less common. People are, if they are...
It just makes it safer.
Yeah, one, if it is medically necessary, both them and, like, the fetus is going to die. Like, basically, if it's medically necessary, then the pregnant person is probably going to pass away because they didn't have access to that care, or if it's something that they just really, really want to do because they do not want a child, cannot afford a child,
cannot give a child a good life.
Yeah, for like literally any reason is a good reason to not want a child. If they feel that strongly about it, they are going to do it through harsher and scarier means than going to an actual medical professional to have it done. So you're not preventing anything from happening, but what you are doing is ensuring that people lose their lives in the process of trying to seek out this care.
I think we actually talked about a little bit in the Pearl Bryan episode. That's kind of how Homegirl got murdered, is because it was something that went wrong. And I heard someone put it really well when they said, if you're banning abortions, you're not you're not getting rid of abortions, you're getting rid of safe abortions.
Mm-hmm. Restricting it doesn't do any good. It doesn't do any good.
Yeah, so that's why we're trying to raise money.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like fatalities in Texas after they basically had like a full abortion ban, pregnancy fatalities went up astronomically.
And another thing, if you ban like abortions, you ban reproductive health care and stuff, it's also making it harder for people that want to have children because they're so worried that if they get pregnant and a medical thing happens, they can't seek the medical attention to save their life, even if they wanted that child.
Yeah, and so it's preventing people who do actually want children, who want a family, from having this family and having children because they are afraid that they cannot access health care that will save their life when they are pregnant. And not only that, but if sometimes people who are made to wait and wait and wait and wait before they can obtain permission to have a medically necessary abortion, and in doing so wrecks their body to a point where they can no longer have children in the future, and like letting them wait and almost develop sepsis and have all these medical issues just waiting it out until they can finally get the approval to have an abortion. In that period of time, it has harmed them so much that now they can't even have a child in the future.
Reproductive health care helps everybody.
Yeah. So just keep all of that in mind. This is something that Elena and I are super passionate about, which is why we are doing this project in the first place. But the Repro Defense Fund is an amazing organization that is just helping out these people in areas where abortion is so restricted now.
Like
and
our home state.
Yeah, exactly.
And most of the South.
Yeah, we're gonna kind of keep you guys updated throughout the process
And I'll
of
be
this.
Posting stuff on Instagram, and when everyone orders everything, I will post all of the screenshots of where the money is going so you guys know that we're not like keeping any of it for ourselves or anything, which, you know, hopefully you would know, but also I just want to put all the transparency out there as possible because you guys deserve it if you are buying something for charity.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that'll be going to a great cause. I'm just personally really excited for the calendars. We have the most amazing artists.
All of the
that
artists are
part
wonderful.
of the program. Yeah.
They're wonderful artists and they're wonderful people.
Yeah. I can't wait for you guys to see that. Yeah, we'll definitely keep you updated on the process and then let you know when pre-orders are officially up and out there.
Yeah, so that is that. Shall I go ahead and do the outro?
Yes.
Thank you, or you do it since I did the intro.
Oh, right. I forgot. Okay.
Do the whole outro in that voice.
I don't think I can. I don't think that would work.
Dang it.
Thank you for listening. If you liked it, please rate the podcast and share it with the weird people in your life. Follow us on Instagram at whataboutweird.pod, where we often share pictures related to the episodes. We are also on Blue Sky as What About Weird Pod. If you have any topic suggestions or personal weird stories, please DM us or email us at whataboutweirdpod@gmail.com.
And always remember
to ask about the weird.
Bye for now.